Today we are speaking with Alannah Southerton, who was a supporting actor on season 3 of Sanditon. Alannah has also appeared in the film Lollipop. She is currently a student at Worcester University. In 2021, she was accepted into the prestigious National Youth Theater. Go. Did you hear it?
Got it.
Hello there. Thank you
Hi
so
there.
much for joining us, Alannah. Now, am I saying your name right, Alannah?
You are, yes, thank you.
Okay, all right. I wanted to make sure that I was pronouncing it properly. And the last name is Southerton.
Yeah, correct. Spot
Okay,
on.
awesome. I just wanted to make sure that I did that properly. Thank you so very much for joining me today. And on behalf of myself and the Sanditon fandom, I really appreciate you doing this. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. Now, before we get started, I'd like to send a shout out to John Ninnis, who connected us in order to do this interview. He introduced actually the two of us. So thank you very much, John, for doing that.
Thank you, John.
Okay, so
Lovely.
the first thing that I wanted to ask you is, how young were you when you knew you wanted to get into acting?
So I was around seven-ish, because I originally wanted to be a vet, and I realized quite quickly that blood and the concept of kind of putting dogs to sleep was never going to sit right with me. Couldn't take it. I'm not that sort. So then, and I was really quiet at school. So then my school had some kind of like, we did plays every year, and they had auditions for the Wizard of Oz. And I was around seven, and I was a very shy, very quiet child. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to audition, and I'm going to play Dorothy. I don't know where it came from, but I was like, I'm going to do it. And I did. And I think my teachers were just so shocked that I tried, that they gave me the part, and I was Dorothy, and I was the lead role, and I loved it. And I was speaking confidently for like the first time. And from then on, I just sort of couldn't stop. I was always kind of shy, always quiet. But when I was acting, I was anybody else, like everyone else. I was completely different. I was confident, and I just sort of carried on with it. And I genuinely loved it. And I started doing drama outside of school as well, because I was just adamant from that point on, I'm going to be an actor. Like, I'd watch films and I'd watch TV, and I'd be like, I'm going to do that. And I've still been trying.
That's awesome. That's incredibly awesome. So when Sanditon came around, did you audition, or did somebody reach out to you about the role, or how did you know, that they were looking for supporting actors for Sanditon?
So I, because my experience is mainly in theatre, when I was around 1920, because I'm 22 now, I was like, if I'm going to be on set, on screen, I'm going to need some experience on set. So I joined an agency called Mad Dog, which is the same one John used, I believe. I just signed up, and I was like, if they're filming anything local in the area, like, the idea was I'd go and kind of just get some on-set experience. And then Sanditon 2 was one of the first ones, like series 2, one of the first ones that I got contacted about. And I was so excited, and it was this beautiful ballroom scene. And they were like, are you available? And I looked at the dates, and I couldn't do it. And I was heartbroken. I was like, that would have been perfect. I would have been able to be on set for the first time. I would have been in the world of Sanditon. I would have been in a fancy dress, would have been amazing. And obviously I couldn't do it. So then a couple of months later, I was contacted about series 3, and I was available, and I was like, nothing's going to stop me putting my name down for this. But that's not a guarantee. So you put your name down, but you don't know if you're going to be picked or anything. But I got a text sort of 2 days after I agreed to the availability check, from a lovely lady called Abby, and she was like, the producers want to know, like, if you're still up for it, are you free to come do a costume fitting in 2 days time? And I was like, yes please. And they were like, you're going to be a hair maid. And I was like, brilliant, I will take what I can get, this is great. And yeah, that's how I got on. I went to the costume fitting, and it fit, and everything was great.
That's amazing. When you got to set, um, what was the first thing that like, was it hair and makeup? Was it costume fittings?
So I'm trying to remember. Breakfast was the very first thing I think on the first day. I remember some like because somebody went and brought me some cereal, which was felt very nice. But yeah, it was hair and makeup first. Yeah, because I went into the hair and makeup trailer and there were pictures of Rose all on the walls, like in I still can't figure out. I was like, when I watch the series back, I'll be able to figure out what scene that was from. I genuinely can't figure it out, but she had these beautiful like pearls in her hair. I don't know if they didn't go with that hairstyle in the end, but like, there are loads of test shots of her. So I'm like, am I in Rose's chair right now? What's going on? It was so cool. And so yeah, they'd done sort of the test of what they were going to do for my hair and makeup in the costume fitting. So when it came to being on set, they had my headshot. They knew what they were doing. So they just whipped it out. They got out the bonnet that they'd chosen for me. Very minimal everything because maids were not the most luxurious of folk. And so when yeah, so I got my hair and makeup done, and then when I went back to my trailer, which was Rose's trailer, which is mad, my costume was there waiting for me, and then someone came and fitted me in like proper corset, the whole thing, very like period accurate.
Oh, was that difficult wearing a corset?
Little bit. It wasn't the most fun, but
Yeah.
I'm quite small, and I think they just sort of got this regular one that they had, so I could breathe, which was my priority because I know a lot of actors are like they couldn't breathe for like half the day when they were shooting. I was quite comfortable, to be fair, but I would prefer to have not have worn it if I had the choice.
I don't blame you there. I've had one on a few times, and they are not the most comfortable thing on the planet. Um,
No.
so when you were filming, obviously you were filming at Hart Park. And I know that you were in scenes with John because he was the footman, and Flo Wilson. So what was it like meeting Flo Wilson? Because she seems like such a lovely lady.
She's genuinely so lovely, so incredibly down to earth. She puts you at ease straight away. You would not think that she was one of kind of like the main cast, really. You'd think she was another supporting artist, the way she talks to everybody just so equally, because sometimes there is a bit of a hierarchy, which is fair enough on a film set or a TV set. But yeah, we started talking straight away because it was freezing. Like England is cold anyway, but England in November, October, freezing. Like we had hand warmers and everything, but they'd lit the fire for real. And so me and Flo were like by the fire, just trying to warm up. And we just started talking about cats, and she just bought her cat a new cat scratcher. And I have two cats at home, so we were like bonding about that over the fire. And I was like, this is so cool. And it took me a minute to kind of clock, oh, this is a very prestigious actress right in front of me right now. Like that's so awesome. But yeah, it was really lovely meeting her, especially.
She does. She seems so incredibly lovely. And the cold, I'm glad you mentioned the cold, because we have seen a lot of behind the scenes shots, and we see everybody in the, the big bulky parkers, and like their hands in like, the little pouches,
Yeah.
hats on. So I was curious about what it was like, and apparently it was pretty windy also.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I can't remember who it was. It might have been one of the makeup team. They had like a bit of a plant or a flower fly into their eye because the wind
Oh,
was like so strong, and we had to like stop filming and do like a health and safety check to see if they were okay because they're in a mask as well because of COVID, and they just had this thing go into their eye, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was not extreme conditions, but getting there.
oh gosh. And when you filmed the scene standing outside with Flo and John, when the carriage is pulling up, you're in a minimal of costume. You're in just your maid outfit. John has a coat on as a footman. Flo seemed to be have a little bit more layer on. So you must have been hoping that that scene was going to be over really quickly
Oh,
because
I was.
your costume was quite minimal.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's amazing how kind of when you first put the costume on, you think, oh, it's quite thick, you know, it's quite sturdy. This will keep me warm. And the costume women were even like, no, you're going to be cold. And I was, I was for the takes, like you take everything off, like mask off, coat off, you brave it, and then the second the camera stopped rolling, it's like, right, where's my coat, where's my boots, where's my hand warmers and my foot warmers? Yeah, it made me feel a bit like a celebrity with like people coming over with loads of coats and things for me. But yeah, if it could have been a bit warmer, that would have been a bit nicer for me.
Hmm. I can hear one of your little ones are looking
My
for
cat,
attention.
yeah, bless her, she's out there. Oh, oh, she's run off now. She'll come back.
So when the carriage pulls up and Ben and Eloise and Flora get out, were you able to, you were there when that happened, were you able to meet them also?
Yeah, so I sort of briefly met Eloise, I think that morning in hair and makeup. I think it was that morning because I did 2 days. I sort of merged in my brain a little bit. And she's really lovely and she's a similar age to me, so that was kind of nice. Um, but yeah, I remember Ben was wearing these sunglasses, and I was like, God, he's so cool. Like it's not sunny and it's freezing, but he's in these sunglasses, just rocking it. I was like, wow, that's like celebrity vibes right there. But he was really lovely and down to earth. And there was a bit after we'd wrapped filming, and I don't know why. I can't remember why this was, but I part of my costume was in another trailer, and I had to run in like just a vest across to get my real clothes or something like that. And I like ran into him in between trailers. I was like, oh my God, I'm in a vest, and I just ran into Ben. And I was like, I'm so sorry. He was like, no, don't worry, it's fine. And he was really lovely about it because I full on like pelted into him.
Oh
But
my
yeah,
gosh.
I know. And then yeah, with I think it was with Flora, I we were kind of like sharing props at some point because I had to make sure she had these gloves or something at a certain point in the scene. So kind of like got to know her a little bit through that. But yeah, they were all lovely, which was really great. My first time on set to have everyone be really nice. That was a blessing.
They all seem to be very extremely lovely people. They all seem to really get along. From the behind the scenes shots everybody has been sharing since ITV finally aired it. Everybody is able to, share the stuff that they've been hanging on to for the last 2 years.
It's so
So
long.
yeah, so they really all seem to be having a good time on set. So how was this experience compared to the experience that you had on Lollipop? Because Lollipop was after Sanditon, and it totally different movie.
Yeah, yeah. So Lollipop, I mean, we're filming in Brixton in London, and it's very kind of urban. It's a working class setting. A very it's very emotional film and very kind of it's serious, but it's got a real heart to it as well. But it's also much kind of like lower in budget compared to kind of an ITV TV set, for example. But I suppose the main difference to me was going on sort of Sanditon as an SA supporting artist, and then going as like one of the main actors on Lollipop. So having to kind of audition a lot more because I think I had 3 auditions for Lollipop. So I was kind of going in with more confidence, thinking like I've earned my
Mhm,
space here.
mhm.
But yeah, I think maybe because it was my first time, Sanditon just felt so whimsical and kind of like magical, and like because not like I didn't have to learn any lines or anything. It was very much turned up on the day, so it was felt like a fun experience. Where Lollipop felt slightly more like work. Like my character is very important, and I had to make sure I really got it right because I can't really speak too much about it, but there are certain details that if I got wrong would be kind of quite detrimental to the film and kind of the scene without spoiling anything. So yeah, I felt kind of like a bit of weight on my shoulders going into Lollipop, whereas Sanditon was just go live out your period drama dreams for a couple of days.
So when you weren't filming scenes, were you able to watch anything that was happening, like any additional scenes that were being filmed at the location that you were at?
Yeah, so I could see the scenes that were being filmed that day at Sanditon, but sort of like with as long as I wasn't getting in the way. So kind of it's sort of like an unsaid rule. If they're in kind of like the main drawing room and you're watching at the side, that's no problem, which I did at many occasions. But for example, I don't know what scene it was, but there was one where they had the doors closed on the main like drawing room, and they didn't want people in the room for whatever reason, like camera angles or maybe because it was quite an emotional beat. I don't know, but like for example, they'd rather we weren't looking in then. But in general, if you're not in the way, you can just watch the magic happen like in another room, which is really cool. I wish I could go and see all of it. I wish like once you were allowed onto the sort of studio lot, you could go and see everything. That would be wonderful, and I would happily spend my days doing that. But sadly, you're kind of limited to your location.
And now, how was it filming under the COVID restrictions?
Yeah, so we had to make sure we had a negative COVID test the night before, and you had to take it with you and like prove that it was negative. You couldn't just turn up and say that. And then before I was allowed onto even into your trailers, so you kind of have like a filming base, and then you're driven to the actual set. Before I was even allowed into my trailer at the base, I had to have a negative COVID test taken then and there. And you can't bring your own mask; they give you their clean masks, and so I think they gave me three to kind of like get me through the day. And once like your mask is on, you're really not allowed to take it off unless you're on your own in a space. Then that's okay if you need a breather. But yeah, they were very tight on it. And then in between takes, masks are straight back on, especially for crew and supporting artists. Bit different for actors because they were in every day. They had their own rotas of testing and their own sort of like areas they could go to that like no one else could if they wanted to take the mask off and things. But yeah, they were tight on the COVID protocols.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that it was the only way that they were going to get permission to film was if they stuck to, everything that needed to be put in place at that time. Otherwise, we'd still be waiting
Yeah, you'd be
for
a
the
very
last
experience.
series to come out, right? So, were you able to visit any of the other sets?
So for my costume fitting, that was at Bristol Parkway, which is the main studio. So I was able to go past the actual Sanditon village, like town high street, and that was really cool. I was only allowed to kind of like walk sort of through it and past it, so I didn't get a chance to linger on it. But that was amazing, and because that was the first thing I saw as I was like pulling into the studios, it was like wow, everything felt real. There were extras and actors all fully in costume, and it was like stepping into history. So that of all the ones to get to see, I think that's a pretty good one.
Oh, absolutely. Were you able to see it? And obviously, you saw Hyde Park and you saw Sanditon Town. Were you able to see anything else? Any of the other locations?
Sadly, not. I saw a sort of the some of the exterior shots for a carriage scene at night, so they constructed that with like green screens and really cool lighting. But no, I was limited to what I could see then, unfortunately. I would love to have kind of dipped into every location whilst I was there. As a fan, it would have been amazing. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I would have been trying to sneak into every single location also. That I think that would have been absolutely amazing. Um, I wanted to ask, and it just totally went out of my head. Um, oh, is there anything else that you're working on at the moment? I know that you're at university. Um, I'm assuming that you're still pursuing your acting career. So, is there
Yeah.
anything that you're working on right now that you can give a little sneak peek of?
So at the moment, my kind of main focus is I'm doing a short film coming up, and that's we're making the entire thing in 48 hours. So it's like part of the competition. So we get given the brief on the end of September on a Friday at like 7:30 p.m. And I think it's by 7:30 p.m. on the Sunday we have to submit this short film, and hopefully it will do well and you win the awards, and then that can go further, which would be great. So that's kind of what me and my kind of acting and filmmaking mates are working on currently. But I had an audition for the lead in a TV series last month that I don't think I've got. I'm assuming I haven't because there was a press release about the cast and I was not in it. So I'm guessing that they're not going to come back to me about that one. And I've had another audition I can't really talk about, but I've not heard back from that one yet. But it's kind of like, yeah, just waiting for that break, that kind of big thing to just, which could happen tomorrow. It could happen in 10 years time. With this industry, you just can't gauge it.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's extremely unpredictable. So what now with you at university, you're still pursuing the acting, but what are you doing at university? Are you doing drama or
No, so I'm actually doing English literature and film studies as like a joint degree. So it's very much books and films, but from like a academic theoretical stance rather than acting, which is like a practical stance. Because I'm a member of the National Youth Theatre and the Midlands Screen Acting School, which is like an act school near me. And so I sort of do so much acting outside of uni. I wanted uni to be kind of a break from it all. So if I'm down about the fact I didn't get a role in something, I can put all my energy into something else, and it's something where I'll get something out of it almost as a guarantee. Like if I put in the work, I'll get the good grades. Whereas with acting, I can kill myself doing so much work for something and it not come to anything. I'm like, great. So yeah, I'm trying to kind of have keep them slightly separate but all in the same genre. I'm all about films and books and telly, really.
that's it. And that sounds like a very practical thing to do. Um, to keep everything along the same lines, but have, I don't want to say a backup plan, but to have something to fall back on just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, stability, which is nice.
So excuse me, the name of our group is More Sanditon, and it's kind of self-explanatory, but we are begging for more Sanditon, be it another series, a special, a movie. If we were able to secure additional Sanditon content, is it something that you would be interested in pursuing?
Oh, I would love that. I'd give anything to be part of that world. I'm a huge Jane Austen fan. Like I've watched Sanditon from series one. I was counting down to the first release of the first episode of series one. So being in it at all for me, like even as the maid, was amazing. But if I could have a real like a proper meaty role in a future series or whatever, even an audiobook, like I would do anything to be part of that world again. I love it so much.
Well, I think that it would be amazing if we were able to get more Sanditon to see you in some of those ballroom scenes,
Yes,
because it sounds like that gown, that fancy gown, is something that would suit you quite well.
thank you. Yes, I'm desperate to get my nice gown one day. Don't care how I do it. I'm gonna get a fancy gown.
And the pearls in your hair and the feather.
Or a feather. Oh, now you're selling it to me.
See, there you go. So we're definitely gonna have to work really hard on this. So as a fan of Sanditon, I really, really appreciate you taking time to speak to me today. I know that you're extremely busy with school and auditioning and your project, and 48 hours from start to finish to produce something sounds very daunting to me. So the best of luck on that to you and your crew.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we will be keeping an eye out for you and your future projects. And with your permission, I will be sharing this to our YouTube channel and our social media pages with your permission.
Yeah, that's absolutely great by me. Yeah, smashing.
Okay. And feel free to share to anybody that you would like.
I will get everyone involved. I want more Sanditon, so this is
Oh,
great.
yes. Yes. Tell your friends and family. Join the page. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
There we go, perfect.
Well, again, Alannah, I want to thank you very, very much for being so sweet and joining me today. And I hope that you get a chance to enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Joanne. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.